most of my time asleep, mountains hundreds of miles behind it. I don't know why she had come so close to me while I was sleeping that night, or what cruelty of fate caused me to roll over. But when I woke up, I found I had accidentally crushed her to death. I could barely even recognize her. I had seen the little people cry before, but that was the first time I myself had ever truly wept. I hadn't even realized I was capable of it. I retreated deeper into the forest after that, avoiding everything. Everyone was so small, and I was so dangerously large. I just wanted to go hide in a cave somewhere and never come out, but even finding such a large cavern now would seem nearly impossible. As was so often the case in my life, I do not know how much time passed, probably ages, but eventually, the little people found me again, as they always did. But this time, it was different. They remembered my name. They brought me food and gifts. They once again asked for my knowledge and my help to save and improve their lives. I enjoyed their company, despite my distrust, apathy, and depression. Eventually, though, they asked me to come with them to their town, and after much deliberation, I finally agreed. What I found when I arrived there was a landscape drastically transformed. The massive destruction of a forest replaced by farmland in a great city made of stacked stone, much like the one I had made so long ago, but much more refined and massive. And the number of little people was uncountable. The forest's devastation was so great that I could not even see the trees on the other side of the city. I just stood there, towering over everything, and felt horror ripple through me from my head to my toes. I felt as though this was somehow all my fault. I should have known this would happen. I should never have helped the little people, for they were so smart that the forest itself had become their prey. Or maybe I should have helped them more, taught them better to be stewards of the forest, not destroyers of it. I immediately left without a word, back the way I came. They followed me yelling and crying my name for some while, before eventually giving up and returning to their desolation of a home. I went further south, far further south. I dreamt about the bird from so long ago. Was it the last of its kind? What destruction had I myself wrought on it, or its species when I ate its eggs? I wasn't intelligent enough to have such thoughts back then when I did it, but now it was always there in the back of my mind. How easy it truly is to destroy something beautiful out of sheer ignorance. I finally found a new cave. My cave. Large enough for me to fit in snugly, and I went to sleep. As always, I do not know for how long. Ages most likely. And once again, I was awoken by the little people. They hadn't changed much by my perception, but their noises were new. It took some time to understand them again, but once I did, they told me of how things were. An empire, they said, greater than any before, and cities of stone which fed and housed vast numbers of little people. I could barely imagine how so many of them could survive on the fruits of the forest, but they told me they no longer needed the forest. They claimed to have tamed the wild. I remember at one point asking one of their supposed wise men what had happened to the old little people who I had once seen doing the same thing. He told me their cities had been abandoned long ago, and they had retreated back into the forest. This gave me some hope, and I believed that in time, they too would return to the forest. I did not tell him my thoughts though. I simply sent him away. More and more of them flooded to me.